Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. I'm your host, Mark Roxey, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt. What's up, Harold?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be with you today, and for those of you that are tuning in, we are excited that you are with us today. Thank you for being with us, whether you're on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for being with us. Make sure you give us a good review, please, if you enjoy the program. And if you're tuning in on YouTube or Facebook, thank you so much for being with us. Do not forget to like or smash the notifications. You know what to do. Hit the bell so that you know when we're going live and you can be part of the conversation. Today, we will be monitoring our conversation. So if you are on YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to just throw your comments in there and we will bring you on the air and your comments on the air. So thank you for being with us. Harold, we got so much to talk about today.
As we do.
I know, man. Boxing, it's been a little kind of like a little dreary the last couple of months, and there's been stuff going on, but it hasn't really kind of festered like it's festering now. We were just prior to the start of the program, Harold and I were just chopping up how we were gonna gather here today and be with you. And we were looking at all the amazing fights that are coming up. And so we're going to touch on a lot of those fights during this broadcast. And, if you have stuff to say about the fights, let us know. But how could we not start with, the mega spectacle that's going to take place between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? How can we not talk about that, Harold?
As we can, but the key word there was spectacle, because it is not a fight, but we'll unpack all of that as we go along.
Yeah, well, so let's unpack it. Tell me what you mean by that when you say, tell the listeners, what do you mean when you say it's not a fight?
Well, this is an exhibition, not unlike for the old heads. Ali did an exhibition with a kickboxer. You've had George Foreman had a exhibition where he knocked out 5 guys in one night.
Right.
Of course, recently we know Floyd does exhibitions, and Tyson was involved in one with Roy Jones. Yeah. Now, exhibitions are not real fights. And they can come off as such, as far as you may have some judges there, but it's unofficial. And the rounds are usually 2 minutes or so. Yeah. There may not be no headgear. But the main part is that each fighter is told, this is not a real fight. Do not hurt the icon, as in Mike Tyson.
Do not, when you say do not hurt Iron Mike, what do you mean by that? What do you mean, do not hurt him?
With Roy, and they both were told, this exhibition, don't try to hurt each other and take each other out. This exhibition is not a fight. Okay. So that was the situation. Although Roy did admit later on that there was one round where Mike forgot that and kind of went after him.
Hey, Harold, did you know that years ago, this goes back maybe 10 years or more, actually more, I was in an exhibition with Iran Barkley. Did you know that?
I believe you said something like that, but please.
So Iran and I had an exhibition. We did an exhibition I was doing a fundraiser for the arts. For those of you that don't know, I'm very much involved in the arts, particularly in dance. And so I threw this fundraiser. It was called Fighting for the Arts. And, we had like 6 world champions in the building. And, Larry Holmes was there, and Iran Barkley was there, and Alicia Ashley was there, and Heather Hardy was there, and Devon McCormick was there. And I mean, the list goes on. And I had so many guys in the cut for that fundraiser, and it was a really, really successful fundraiser. But one of the key pieces of the fundraiser was people really came out because they wanted to watch me get my backside handed to me by Iran Barkley, and it made for a lot of entertainment. But I'll tell you, we were joking around in the back. It was all fun and games, man. When that bell rung, he was throwing hard shots, man. He was grilling me. He wasn't like, he's got his hands are the size of my head. That's number one. And, 10, 15 years ago, Iran Barkley was still kind of like, he was there, his body was, it wasn't like now. Like now he's aged just a little bit more. No disrespect, Iran, that. But, back then when we had the exhibition, I thought it was going to be, we were going to play around in the ring. Everybody was going to, we're going to have a good time. We're going to hug at the end. Man, he was trying to take my head off. So, and I was trying to take his head off because that's what people were like, get him. And they weren't talking about me get Iran. They were talking about Iran get me. It was great. So anyway, these exhibitions, to the point, I shared that with you and the listeners just to say that these exhibitions, when the bell rings, they're still going to go for each other. Do you not think that's going to happen?
No, what I was saying was they are told contractually and verbally not to hurt the other because it's just an exhibition.
Yeah.
Now, Jake Paul is a lot younger than Mike Tyson. And if you know Mike Tyson's last 3 fights where he was knocked out pretty badly. So it's not like he's coming off a win, and that was 20-something years ago. So the point is, Jake Paul is a younger man.
Right.
He can hit Mike and possibly, he could hurt him. And Mike vice versa. So, yeah, it's an unwritten rule that this is an exhibition, there'll be no headgear and the glove size will be different.
Yeah.
And all of that. But contractually, they are told not to go after each other.
Right.
As you just stated, you guys went after each other, but the contract said don't, it's an exhibition.
Yeah,
so,
it's just fun and games. Yeah.
So anyway, the main thing is the hype is unbelievable, Mark. And I'm sure you can speak to that.
Well, I do want to set just so the listeners know, like this fight is taking place. Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul. If you've tuned into the program a little bit later and just joined us, they are going to be fighting. The fight is going to be taking place, I believe it's July 20th, right, at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys, right?
You must say exhibition fight. You must say that because half the people believe it's a real fight, and it's not. It's just not.
Yeah.
And we still have to see how they're going to sanction it, how they're going to work it. If we still don't know the parameters of it, unless you know something that I don't know, Mark.
Well, I know they're not.
It's an exhibition, dude. It's an exhibition. It's not a fight. People know it's not a fight.
Was the fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, was that an exhibition?
No, it wasn't. It was a sanctioned fight on either one of those records.
Yeah.
On this is not sanctioned whatsoever. It's not a regular fight that will go into their records. It's not. And the glove size is different. There's no headgear. There's 2-minute rounds, and it's an exhibition.
2-minute rounds?
Sometimes exhibitions, I don't know the parameters yet.
Right.
Sometimes exhibitions are 2-minute rounds.
Right. Well, listen, Mr. Barry or anybody else who's tuning in right now, I see a couple of people making comments and stuff. If you know how many rounds it is, let me know. Let me know, because Harold's saying it's 2-minute rounds.
No, I said I've seen exhibitions be 2 or 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
We don't know which one yet.
All right.
We don't know the glove size, any of that.
Right.
We don't know how many rounds it's going to be, 6, 8, 10. We don't know those things as of yet.
So listen, Mike Tyson his record is like 56-6 with 44 big wins coming by way of KO, right? He's 57 years old. By the time this fight takes place, Harold, he's going to be 58 years old.
Yes.
Right. What do you make of that? He's fighting. How old is Jake Paul? Jake Paul's probably...
He's 27 years younger.
Yeah. Like he's 27 years younger. So, I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, yeah, honestly, I have no interest. It is a...
You have no interest?
It's a money grab to an extent. It's utilizing the popularity of both fighters, old school and new school, which is a good combination marketingly. As far as the fight is concerned, I'm looking for the undercard to be of note, where fighters who really have something to fight for, maybe title eliminators, or maybe moving up to another step in competition.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that undercard to really have some meat on it.
Right.
But the main thing will not, as far as I'm concerned. But for the casual fan or new fans, they're going to be tuning in.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping they tune in and see the real guys fight, the guys who really have something on the line.
Right.
Titles, championships, and fall in love with them. And then when the main people come on, as they're going to do what they're going to do,
right,
they enjoy the undercard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. In Mike Tyson's last bout, his last fight, I think, was like 19 years ago. That was the last time he was in the ring fighting professionally. Anyway, he's probably done exhibitions since then, but that's
I think he quit. He quit in his last fight.
Yeah, well, he fought Kevin McBride, I believe, in his last fight. It was June 2005. And and he kind of got, he was TKO'd. So it was a TKO loss. He really kind of gave up. I think he for all the documented reasons, we know what happened. We know what led up to all of that. And, it's well documented. So we're not going to go and relive that because, again, here's some things that I think are important. At least this is how I feel, because I love Tyson. And I've always loved Tyson. I love Tyson even before he had his comeback. You know that. We used to talk about Tyson on the program, and people were like, where is he? What is he doing? Like, what's happening, right? I've always loved Tyson. He's from the BK. He's got a special place in my heart for a lot of reasons, and I love just the kind of human being that he's become. He is getting back in the ring, and him getting back in the ring, whether it's an exhibition or not, I know that Mike Tyson's not going to want to look anything less than amazing for a multitude of reasons. His brand, his own sense of who he is. Those are all important things. And, being 58, when he fights, he's got something personal to prove too, that he can still compete, that he's still alive, that he's still breathing. He's still got it, So I kind of sensed that in the lead up and kind of like just listening to some of his banter about the fight. I'm kind of feeling like, yeah, it's an exhibition, but yeah, he's coming because he wants to, send a message to these young kids that are out there about respecting your elders. That's kind of what I'm getting. What do you think?
Well, people want Jake Paul to get beat up, this, that, and the other. That's kind of the whole thing. And it's, bad guy against really, really good guy.
Yeah.
Imagine if he happens to hit Mike Tyson and hurt him to the point where he can't continue, even if it's an exhibition. I think boxing takes kind of a back seat. We'll take a blow because, Mike is this iconic guy. And most people who are his fans now don't remember about how he fell off his last 3 fights.
Right.
He got knocked down, knocked out, and all this kind of stuff. All they see is the past.
Yeah.
Now, as I said with the Roy Jones exhibition, people are going to watch that fight looking for the old Mike Tyson. And when he doesn't appear, they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's something that could possibly happen here. But because the hate for Jake Paul is such, they just want Mike Tyson to hit him a couple good times.
Right.
They want to see Jake reel around the ring, hurt, this, that, and the other. So their hate is mostly to see Jake Paul's demise. I just know that Jake Paul is a lot younger than Mike Tyson. And no matter how Mike Tyson's aura is huge, he's still an older gentleman.
Yeah.
If he gets hit flush by a young, strong man, he could take damage because he's not used to getting hit. He just isn't. It just doesn't happen. You can train all day long But if you get hit, it's some kind of tolerance that has to be developed or kept or reawakened. Mark, you can speak to it better than I can. But at least Jake Paul has been training and been getting hit, and he's younger, and he's going to be able to, get away somewhat. And as I said before, it's exhibition. Someone's going to be cautious. Maybe Mike won't be cautious, but he will to a point. And if they ever try to stand in with each other, there's a possibility that Mike could get hit. I mean, he was slow. Yeah. He was getting hit when he was fighting before his last days. He was slow. You look good on the bag, right, Mark? You can kill the world on that bag. You got, you're circulating your stuff, you're working out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you look good, but you're not in front of somebody. Now, I know Jake Paul is maybe this, maybe that, but I will say this. He is training with real people. He actually holds his hand and moves as a fighter should. No, his skill set isn't high. He's just developing, but he does have those fundamentals. And some of the basic things Mike's going to do to him, be able to see it or block it or whatever, he may get punched through the guard or hurt through the guard. I don't know how it's going to be, but he's going to hit Mike. And we got to see if Mike can even take that kind of blow anymore.
Yeah, well, you bring up a really good point, because you're right. At 58 years old, you still have your power. That's the last thing to go. Everybody knows that, But even I was listening to Bernard Hopkins talk a little bit about this fight. And one of the things that he was saying was, it's not even about whether or not Mike can take the blows. It's just kind of like the fact that Jake Paul picked Mike Tyson to do this bout is kind of like a dishonoring of Mike Tyson, who is, truly regarded as, clergy in the sport of boxing. He's really highly regarded in and out of the sport of boxing, to be honest. And so it's more about like, why would you take the fight to tarnish his reputation? In fact, if you do, there's different sides to it, but I think the one piece that gets me is like Mike Tyson to me will live on forever. The young iron Mike Tyson that I grew up watching and admiring and seeing, just dismantle his opponents time after time after time is going to always be forever etched in my mind. So that's never going to go away, whether he's in an exhibition or not. He could be 80 years old in an exhibition. I still remember what I remember. And I think that that's what makes the fight intriguing, because, some people are saying, oh, well, it's not really getting the kind of attention that they expected at this point. But I don't agree with that. I think that Mike Tyson is a household name. When people hear that Mike Tyson is fighting, every bar and every public gathering, sports gathering place, watering hole, or whatever you want to call it, is going to want to see this fight for the sheer nostalgia of it. And I don't think they're not going to do the numbers. I think they could possibly beat Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather numbers. It's possible.
I'm not disputing the numbers at all. And we had a taste of that when he fought Roy Jones, because they did very well with that. But now you have a villain that is not necessarily endeared by the public.
Right.
Jake, and then he's got his own following who loves him dearly. So this is a good combination. Of course, Mike is an icon. As you say, he's a clergy in our field. And he's, reverend to a point of, almost, godlike. But I will say that, there will be blows thrown, and Jake Paul is going to, he's going to want to hit Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Mike Tyson is actually doing sparring, or if he's actually taking blows, or any of that. Now I know Jake Paul can come in no more than maybe 207. Because his body, he can't go to 210 or 215, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So
his style. I was gonna say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're right. You're right. I mean, the weight is going to be an issue, and then also, Mike Tyson is known for his rolling and his slipping and his fast footwork, and his punching up in the box, nice and tight, short punches in the box. fighting, from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom and he throws the combination still. He's still, like, if you look at some of the bag work and some of the stuff that they're putting online about, his training, you'll see that he still has that. The only thing
that's bag work, Mark.
Yeah. But that's what I was going to say. It's not only is it bag work, but it's one thing to run those combinations. They're in your body. You'll never forget those combinations and those little drills that you're doing on the bag or the pads or the mitts or whatever. It's another thing when you throw your best shot, your best combination on someone and nothing happens. Now what?
True.
That's the whole, I hope I just painted that picture for everybody, but then what happens? And then on the other side, you're playing around on the Jake Paul side, you're getting in there, you're fighting the guy, you're like taking it easy. Oh, he's beloved and let me not, and then he cracks you and you go to sleep, right? There's that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying contractually that will be said. That's it. Now, how it happens in the ring, it's like you said, you guys went to real blows. I get that. I'm just saying people forget that Jake Paul is younger.
Yeah.
A lot younger. And he's a man who's in his prime. And we don't know if Mike Tyson can take that kind of blow from a young, strong man.
Yeah, it comes in a little different when you're getting cracked, with a 27-year-old hand with all that energy, all that power coming through. So yeah, I mean that's real. That's real.
And I want to say, yeah, of course, Mike Tyson has all the technique, as you just stated, and all that. But half the people are going to be looking for that old Mike Tyson. A lot of people were disappointed with the Roy Jones thing. They saw him doing some things, but it wasn't what they expected. They expected to see the old Mike Tyson of old, and it just did not show up. Yeah, the numbers were there, but he was able to do that. But as I said earlier, I don't want to digress. Just the fact that Jake Paul is in it will change the dynamic.
I don't care.
Yeah, also, Jake didn't want Tyson initially. No, he wanted maybe two other high-profile people to do it. Mike Tyson was not on the list at all. He wasn't going after Mike Tyson to humiliate Mike Tyson, anything like that. But two other high-profile people declined, and Mike Tyson was just on the list. And you asked him, Mike's going to say, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. But Mike was not the target. Mike was not on the list initially. It's just he's on there, but he got to fight by default, and that's fact.
Well, I don't really care whether I'm playing dominoes with Mike Tyson. It would be an honor to play dominoes with Mike Tyson. It would be an honor to, just sit with Mike Tyson. Come on, y'all. Come on. Who listening to this podcast right now would not love to have dinner with Mike Tyson? If you would not like to have dinner with Mike Tyson, do not put that in the comments. If you would like to have dinner with Mike Tyson, put in your comments exactly what you would talk about. Because anybody in their right mind would love to just sit down with him and spend a little time with him. It's Mike Tyson. Harold, it's Mike Tyson.
What I would talk about would be two things. First thing was custom model, how he put him into where he got him. And I would ask him, when is the most decadent financial situation he was in, where he just forgot about the entire world and was focused on his money? As in, you wake up one day and you decide that you can do anything in this world because you got $80 million in the bank.
Well,
what was that thought? What was that process that particular day or months or years where he had that kind of a movement in his life? I would like to know, how that felt or how he enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's been some amazing documentaries and even his stage show. He talked a little bit about that. To just kind of say that all that money meant nothing. All of it literally meant nothing. And that it got to the point where he didn't even know. So it's an interesting conversation to have with him. I would like to just ask him, like, what the hell were you thinking when you had a darn tiger in your house? Like, I want to know about the tiger.
A lot of stuff he talked about that.
Yeah.
He was talking about you have to kind of muscle that thing around a little bit early, because when it gets older, it won't recognize. He said a lot of his friends, they could not, because the tiger did not like them. He said the tiger could easily kill them.
Yeah.
So a certain amount of his friends couldn't hang around, certain things he couldn't do. And, he really talked about how, the tiger could have killed several different people, situations where he realized that his own life was kind of in danger with the power, the tigers having, such great,
right,
height and weight and length and all of that on him, but he was still able to, mentally handle that situation. And he talked about how he had to get rid of them and this or that and the other, but he had a good time. But he just talked about a lot of things about having those pets.
Well, listen, Harold, we could talk about Tyson. He's like an entire podcast. I would love to have him on. That it would be an entire podcast just on Mike Tyson, because you guys know how much I love him. But we're gonna move on here, man. We're gonna jump on over to this. First of all, big news, and I'll just say, just before we hit this news, that Mike Tyson fight is going to be on Netflix, which is kind of an interesting development, folks. Netflix into the boxing world. More to come on that.
Yes, because that's a positive thing.
Oh, that's a great thing. But we'll hit that on another podcast. But right now, I want to just talk a little bit about. I understand there's a replacement for the Tim Tszyu fight, and let's talk about that.
Well, as you know, Keith Thurman was all lined up to fight Tim Tszyu at a catch weight to open up the prime broadcast of boxing. And as you may remember, the person we're talking about here, Keith Thurman, Keith Thurman has always been the first one that PBC trots out when they have a new series to begin.
Right.
They use him at Fox when they first came on Fox.
Yes.
TV, he was a headliner. He was a headliner at another venue for PBC when they were entering into a new situation. I think it was Showtime also. So he's always been a frontliner with them because he really does well with the promotion. He has a lot of charisma and this, that, and the other. However, he hurt his bicep in training. And Mark, you know about bicep injuries. You cannot get around them.
Yeah.
You can't mask them for the fight. You can't shoot anything in them so they won't be painful. You just can't simply work.
No, it's over.
So he had to pull out. But because of that, Tszyu could have pulled out. But Tszyu thought about all the other fighters who would not be paid that night, and all the expenses that not only he incurred, but everyone incurred, and he decided to take this next fight. Best thing about it is Fondora was already going to be fighting, and Fondora has the opportunity to get another title. Now, Fondora just got knocked out in his last fight. Okay, you have to be out a certain amount of time, so he was out 90 days. But what fighter, gets a title shot after getting knocked out? And that really doesn't really happen. It's not the norm or anything like that, but there's no norms in boxing. But he has opportunity to do so. And that's strictly because of the change. Now, to me, this is a better fight because Thurman, they were fighting, but it was for no belts. It had no cachet for anyone other than if Thurman won, maybe he could continue to move forward.
Right.
Tszyu would have won or lost. It would have hurt him. He would still remain champion. But now you got real stakes on here. Yeah. And Fondora, of course, is going to be in a situation where he can really take advantage of it and possibly get to win. I don't see that because Tszyu knows how to fight a taller fighter. So it's just going to be a lot more fun, I believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Keith Thurman, folks, was declared, out of the competition. I think that happened on Monday. The fight was supposed to happen on March 30th. It was a pay-per-view main event versus unbeaten WBO 154-pound champion Tim Tszyu. Because of a training camp injury, which they're saying is the bicep, he's unable to continue in the competition. So that's what happened. Now, that card, by the way, is on Amazon Prime, which is also okay. So now Netflix is in, Amazon Prime is in, and it is a pay-per-view taking place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas and a part of the PBC Premier Boxing Champions official, roster of fights. And so now it's going to be Sebastian Fundora. And Fundora is, man, he was stopped in his last fight. It was a shocking stoppage. It was actually a very violent stoppage. But the thing about that is that it was an unpredicted, like majorly unpredicted and shocking stoppage, because it was kind of like, so a lot of the boxing pundits and people in the sport felt like, oh, well, yeah, that happened, but, he's still sharp. He's still, one of the best 154-pound champions, out there, boxers out there. And so that's probably how he got to be the replacement. But what do you think, Harold, about that replacement in relationship to Tim Tszyu?
We know Fundora is well schooled. His father makes sure that he knows how to protect himself. His sister is a champion, and she's defended her belt twice.
Yeah.
So he's not coming into a situation where the step up is too large. My only concern is just because of markability, he gets a shot where he should not have gotten the shot. However, the people who were in line to get the shot legitimately, they had not been in the gym. They could not get ready in time. So he works out really, really perfect for the situation. So it's going to be a good fight, Mark. I love to see a puncher have to go after someone tall and land the punches. He has to step in a certain way. You got to throw the punches differently. And he was preparing for a different fighter. Now he's got 5 days to eat, drink Fundora and figure out how to apply the game plan. So since the game plan would not be as polished as it would be, it may be more violent. It may be more forceful. He may force himself in a situation so he have an advantage, and therefore he can take that work that Fundora gives. If Fundora can stay tall, he'll win.
Yeah.
He got knocked out because he stopped being tall and got in the pocket and got clipped. So we have to see how that works out. But his nature is to come forward. So I just see it's a whole lot better fight. And it's going to be tough to climb that mountain, that taller, stronger, the taller man.
It's such a big differential, man. It literally looks like a giant versus there's a big difference. If they fight, if this fight actually happens, which I believe it is signed, I'm not 100% sure that it's signed, but I believe it is.
Yes, supposedly it's a done deal.
Cool. I just want to make sure I report that correctly, that I don't misreport that.
It's done. And his opponent received another fight from another gentleman who was on the card.
Yeah.
Who gets the opportunity to move up also. So everyone's benefiting from this except for Keith Thurman.
Oh, man. And Keith Thurman has only had one fight since his defeat against Manny Pacquiao back in 2019. Right?
Yes, that's true. But the scuttlebutt is because of his age, and he's working out as he usually thinks about, that he was able to damaged himself.
Yeah.
Mark, if you know any scuttlebutt about that or how the bicep can be affected because of age or whatever particular thing, please do, because a lot of people saying, some people saying, no, he pulled out. No, he won that opportunity. He was selling the fight beautifully.
Yeah,
so, what kind of bicep injury can happen, Mark, where, it really stops the fight? There's money that he won't be getting because of this bicep injury, and there's no way he can get around it. Can you explain that some?
Yeah, listen, the casuals and, the pundits and people talking and speculating. Speculating is it's fun. It's fun to speculate because, most of these pundits and casual fans have to speculate because they don't really know what's going on or don't know what happens when you get injured or how injuries happen in the sport of boxing. The one thing about boxing, unlike a lot of sports, I actually equate boxing and ballet very similarly, right? So like if you have a ballerina and the ballerina, Harold, gets an ingrown toenail, the ballerina cannot go up on point and cannot dance. So you think, oh, it's just an ingrown toe. No, like that, there's like all of your body weight is displaced over a, 1 inch area, like a dime or quarter size area on your toe, right? And so all that pressure is coming down on that toe. So you cannot dance, right? So in boxing, you throw, he's got a killer hook, and so not being able to throw a hook or not being able to throw a straight right hand or whatever it is, you cannot throw anything when your shoulder is damaged. When your bicep is pulled, it doesn't only affect your offense, it also affects your defense, because anytime the hand is hit, the bicep fires. So if he has a bicep pull, he's probably got it wrapped up, probably got it in a sling or whatever they're doing. I don't know if they're going to do surgery on it, but he is basically out. That would be like breaking a pinky. If you break your pinky, you're out. The commission, Harold, for those of you tuning in, I know Harold knows this, but the commission will not allow you to fight if you show up with a cut, an open wound on your hand. You were out in your yard landscaping and you got an open wound, you cannot fight. So for a fighter, for a boxer that, has a torn bicep on on this level, on a world-class level, fighting, it's not going to happen. It just, he has no choice but to pull out other than to try to swindle the entire commission and everybody in the sport of boxing to get in there for what? For what? Like he'd be knocked out immediately because the bicep is torn. So you have no choice but to pull out. You can't continue fighting. And that's a good background. Hopefully I touched that properly, Harold. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe so. So that being the case, we have Fundora there, and I just think it's going to be a lot better fight.
It's a super welterweight bout, you guys. It's a super welterweight bout. Fundora, Sebastian Fundora is also known as the Towering Inferno, right? When you see these two guys face to face, you really know why they call him the Towering Inferno. Because
it looks comical almost.
It's like a basketball player. Again, it's like a basketball player and a soccer player standing next to each other. That's what it looks like, folks. It's crazy. And Fundora, the thing is, I don't know. I think he has something like 13 knockouts.
Yeah, he can hit now. Mm-hmm. Before his knockout, he had a high knockout ratio and he had a good work rate. Yeah. And people enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
However, he tend to not use his height, and he would like to get in the pocket and bang. Yeah. So we have to see if he'll abandon that or stay with what brought him to the dance.
Right. It's interesting because this fight, we didn't really talk about when it's happening. It's actually March 30th, so it is like right around the corner. And if you're watching in Australia, the fight is on the 31st. It's like the next day. But it's at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas as well.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, man. It is.
Get your little butt in trouble in Las Vegas, boy. I'm telling you.
So I think on the fight card, there's also, I think Rolly Ramiro's fighting too, right?
Yes. Now that is a good fight right there.
Yeah.
There was some information online. They had the little camps, the 24/7s or whatever they rebranded, rename it over and over again. Everyone has their version of it.
Uh-huh.
And Rolly was basically trying to play up the Mexican heritage of Cruz. Yeah. And Cruz is a pit bull, and Rolly said, well, he's really a Chihuahua. So Rolly went out and adopted a Chihuahua dog.
Oh, man.
And he's been using the dog as prop and whatever. I mean, he's treating the dog fine. He's feeding the dog, loving the dog. but he's really using it as a hammer. Just
that's a mistake, man.
That he's really a Chihuahua, not a pit bull. So he's been very comical and serious about it. Whereas Cruz is talking about it was a time where he couldn't even feed his family.
Yeah,
couldn't put food on the table. He didn't have an opportunity to do anything. So his story is a complete kind of different type of thing. Whereas, he wants to really continue his situation. He knows that he's riding off the situation with Tank.
Right.
He feels like he can legitimately make himself a legitimate champion by beating Romero and, not longer be known as the guy who went the distance with Tank. But the fact is, Tank he only had one arm the whole fight, and he still beat you. Well, and people forget about that. But in boxing, excuses are never used.
Right.
The fact is, he went the distance with him, arm or no arm. The purists don't even want to hear about that.
Right.
Tank was able to win. The point is, he thinks he can take a Rolly out. Rolly's a seek and destroy type person. So I think the fight will go maybe 6 rounds, and Rolly could possibly be hit with something he doesn't see coming.
Yeah.
If he doesn't take Cruz just out, because Rolly is a hard puncher. As Tank has said, the hardest puncher that he's fought was Rolly.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Rolly Romero's coming. I remember when he fought Tank Davis up there in Madison Square Garden. I was there in the arena, man. And the one thing that really stood out to me is that Rolly Romero came right into Devin Haney's wheelhouse. He was just going forward. Into Gervonta Davis's wheelhouse. He was just right there in his face the whole time. And that's why the fight didn't go that long, because Tank just pulled him to the rope, countered him with it might have been a hook and a straight right hand. I think it was a straight right hand. Oh, no, straight left hand. Straight left hand because he's southpaw.
It was beautiful, but he had been setting it up rounds and rounds before that happened. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying he pulled him to the corner and he clipped him. He caught him with a good shot. But prior to that, what I'm saying is in the arena, the fans were going wild because Rolly was fighting on like he's going out on a shield, like no matter what, I'm going to kill you. Like he was just going forward. And I think that was for the short amount of time that it lasted, it was very impressive. It was a very impressive energy expansion, So how does that work out when you face an Isaac Pitbull Cruz? How does that work out for you?
Well, the situation, his last performances, they were very marginal. One, it was given to him in a sense, and the other one was kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
So the cachet he got from getting knocked out by Tank, but coming after Tank, balls to the walls, that was taken away because his last 2 performances were just mundane. He didn't do anything. He was a 1-2 puncher. He's not look good at all.
Right.
At all. So if you look at that last 2 fights, you're not going to really want to, be in his corner because he didn't do anything exciting. If he had come directly off the Tank fight and went into a fight, I believe he would have got a little more reverence to his skill. But right now, they say he's the weakest of the champions. He'll give the belt up easy, and he really doesn't have a skill set.
Right.
So to me, he's really going to go forward and see if he can take Cruz out, only because Cruz went the distance with Tank. But as we know, it was a one-arm fighter against a two-hand fighter, and he still couldn't do anything with him. So I'm looking for the same role you're looking at to go get him.
Yeah, man. So Harold, again, this is going to be a great fight. Tune in, you guys. March 30th from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. You're going to love it. It's PBC fight. It's going to be on Prime, on Amazon Prime. Don't miss it, man. And then
2 good fights on the same card. Boy, that's beautiful.
Well, yeah, not only that, Erislandy Lara, the American Dream, is going to be on the card. Number 1 ranked mandatory challenger for Michael Zerafa, right? And they're going to meet for a 12-round attraction, so that should be really good. I'm excited for that card. I think it's a really, really wonderful card. I think you guys, you boxing fans are going to be in for a treat that night. And then, so Harold, let's jump on over to the Devin Haney, man. The Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia fight. It's a ways away still, but I did want to touch on that and make sure that we shared with the fans any more recent news that has come out of the camps.
Well, as we know, Ryan had been on Instagram and X, as they call it now, and he said a few controversial things about this, that, and the other. I won't go into those things, but supposedly it questions his mental health. Some people feel like he's just trolling to sell the fight, so it become popular, get some aha moments, some moments thinking that he is not mentally well,
right,
and how could they do this fight? Or on the other hand, it just gets the people really involved in it and who want to watch it. Now, this is supposedly was read and put out and then deleted that president of the WBC talked to the New York Boxing Commission and wants them to actually administer a mental test ahead of the fight. Now, what happens with that is if they actually do that and if they deem that he is not, he cannot fight because of a mental situation, he can sue them for his purse, which would be $30, $40 million, $50 million if they do that. They've never administered anyone else a test.
I've never heard. Yeah, I never.
Capacity, so they can't do it now. And if they do, and actually go by and decide they want to stop him from fighting, that's just suicide for the commission. Suicide for the people who are involved in the fight itself. Now, of course, they have some people lined up because they feel like he's gonna have a meltdown and he won't make it to the ring. But some rule of thoughts is, yes, he's saying these crazy things, but he's just being himself, and that is better than not. Being yourself, having the facade, because in that ring, all truth shows. So we'll have to see. Now, as far as Devin Haney's concerned, he's not even worried about it. He's heard so much stuff, seen so much stuff. He's just preparing for the fight. However it goes, he's going to do what he has to do. And he has a simple adage: I'm just going to take away the left hook, and there's nothing else really there. And Haney is really good with taking your tools from you. It may not be the most exciting situation, but when you're in the fight opposite from him and your main tools, you just cannot use those. You just go through the fight getting beat. You may not get hurt or anything like that, but you're going to lose on points because he took that away from you and he's scoring on you as you go along.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, there's a reason that Devin Haney is 31-0. There's a reason he's 31-0.
Without all the knockouts.
Exactly.
He just makes you put your hands in your pockets. That's it.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, that I'm not happy to hear that Ryan Garcia could be dealing with some additional mental health issues because this is a great fight that's coming up. It's coming up on Saturday, the 20th of April. It's happening in my hometown and at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, the BK, New York City, and. Yeah, man, and I won't miss it. I will be there. I will be there for that fight because it's in my hometown, so I will be there. And it's just one of those things where we don't want anything to upset the apple cart leading up to this fight. This fight has to happen. It has to happen for two reasons. One, Ryan Garcia needs to be crowned the king, or Devin Haney needs to be crowned as the king. This is a major fight that's happening actually in that landscape.
That's true. That's true. Now, if you look at it, he's the only one who's really fighting on the top names. Everybody else is talking and posturing and slipping and dipping. Ryan actually is fighting the top dudes. He fought Tank. He's fighting Haney. He'll turn around and fight whoever else is at the top.
Yeah.
He does not have an issue with the one loss or two loss. He wants to make the big fights. So people can say what they want about his mental capacity. Some people hate him because society deems him to be very attractive or whatever to the men and the women. Some people are jealous of his cachet as far as he has so many followers. He's got the movie commercials, this and the other. He's very photogenic, but he is a fighter. He came up just like Devin Haney and Shakur and all those guys. He was in the same circus they were in. He fought the same things they were in. It wasn't like he just came to the forefront. He's been a fighter his entire existence.
Listen, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney have met. They've locked horns multiple times in the amateurs. Now, that's 14, 15 years ago, right? They both have matured into, completely different men, and they're facing one another, having completely different experiences, getting to the point that they're at right now. But both of them are, they're on a collision course right now to see who is the number one best athlete at this weight. So, it's a big fight. And I'll tell you what, that arena will be sold out.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
Haney's polished and Ryan is not.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. One is more polished than the other.
Well, and one is 31-0 and one is 20. What Ryan Garcia is 24-1, right? 24-1, right?
Yeah. So he goes to that left hook for defense, offense. When he's frustrated, when he's happy, he just goes left hook crazy. Right. His mindset is go with left hook. He'll come with the right hand now because Derek James, what have you, is helping him with that. But his go-to punch in almost every situation is he just goes hand with the left hook.
Yeah.
Haney will take that completely away from him. He won't throw the left hook in any instance because he'll be vulnerable to getting countered. And he might as well just staple it behind his back because that left hook is gone. And he doesn't have anything else. Haney honed every aspect of the fight game, and he's able to do it all. Ryan was still knocking people out. Now when that left hook is gone, what else does he have? And Mark, to me, I don't see a jab.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also, listen, if you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, thanks for being part of the conversation. Hit the subscribe and notification buttons.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, what do you think? What do you think
out there
between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia? Who do you see coming out on top? Put it in the comments. I mean, what is the percentage? I give Ryan Garcia like a 30% chance of winning. I give him like a 30% chance of winning.
I'm a little less than that because we've seen what Haney has done with people who are very heavy-handed, and he just simply just handicaps them, as he puts it, and he truly does that. So, but the rub is going to be great. Maybe it's going to go the distance, which is going to be nice. That's going to be nice. That's going to be enjoyable.
Well,
everybody who is not really a boxing fan will at least see 12 rounds. He doesn't have the capacity to knock him out. That's not happening. Ryan's got a great chin. He got a good chin. He's got hit to the body, and you can't train.
Yeah, he had broken rib or something. He had some sort of broken issue before, and this is that actually dovetails back to the Tim Tszyu fight. The fight with Keith Thurman, because Ryan Garcia did exactly that. He went into the fight. He had damage to the ribs. The Tank Davis camp knew that. They learned that prior to the fight. Maybe that's news to you, but they targeted that shot because they understood that he was damaged. There was rumors floating around, in the boxing world that he was hurt to the ribs in a prior sparring.
They were going to try that anyway, whether it was rumor or not rumor. They was going to see if it was real anyway. So they were going to go there anyway. Any kind of, as you know, Mark, any kind of scuttlebutt or any kind of rumors, you're going to test it to see if it's really real or not.
Yeah.
And they didn't know for sure until he went down. And but as we're saying, I believe he has a good chin.
Right.
I've watched a lot of his fights. He gets hit and he doesn't stagger, move, or whatever, or blink, or retaliate, or hold, or any of that. He steps to the side, he gets out the way. So he has that discipline. So if he's healthy, I believe it to go the distance because I don't think Haney can actually move him out the way.
Hey, Harold, did you hear Teddy Atlas came out publicly and started to, what's up, Omar 12? Thanks for joining the program, bro.
Thank you, Omar.
Yeah. basically Teddy Atlas came out and blasted the New York State Athletic Commission, saying that they should, mandatorily, put him with a qualified psychiatrist, right, for evaluation, and that if they don't, that they should shut down the commission. What about that?
Okay, well, as you know, Teddy had his own situation with, with boxing. He was relieved of his duties because he said some things that they didn't deem was proper at the time.
Yeah.
However, one worked, and there's two sides of that and all that. And he's definitely been championing, the corruption or whatever that he sees or in boxing. So when he says that, yes, he's always going to be someone who's going to have the capacity to say something as final or not outlandish, final or as condemning or as splashy, because that's his lane.
Yeah,
he that's his lane. So he's going to say all of that. But as I said earlier, you can't do that. You just can't put together something just for Ryan and never have used it ever before.
Right.
And as I said, if your information comes out that you deem that he is not mentally ready for this fight, and you stop the fight and you postpone the fight, you are opening yourself up to huge lawsuits. Now, the New York Commission, they're not really concerned about what Teddy has to say, as in if they're going to lose their charter or anything like that. You're talking about the Mecca of boxing. You're talking about your backyard. Yep. You really think they're going to spank the hands of the New York Boxing Commission because of what Teddy says? And do you think they're going to put together some kind of panel to run Ryan through the mental gymnastics? I don't think so, any of that. I think it's just good fodder out there to sell the fight and all that kind of thing. I believe the fight will come off, and that's how I see it. But yeah, Teddy's going to say what he has to say because he can do that. His hand cannot be spanked. They can't touch him.
Right.
He works with Pro Box, his own podcast. He has several other revenue streams that they're coming in, and no one can stop. No one can hurt him by telling him he can't say whatever because his money will be changed. So therefore, he's going to champion that type of thing, and I applaud him for it. But in this situation, I think it does. It's not going to do anything. The New York Boxing Commission is an icon, untouchable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get that. I mean, there's not much I can say about that because, I do agree that Teddy Atlas does, oftentimes come out and say things really candidly that a lot of other people would not even touch. They just wouldn't even touch it. So yeah. Anyway, moving right along, Harold. Let's get into the Canelo Alvarez versus Jamie Munguia fight. That's happening. It's coming up. It's May 4th, Saturday, May 4th. That fight is happening again at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Boy, they're going to be busy. And so is Amazon and DAZN, because I think they're doing some sort of dual partnership for that fight.
Yes.
And so that's kind of cool. And it's for the IBF, WBA, WBC, WBO World Super Middleweight titles.
168.
Yeah, man.
Now the coming together of the companies and trying out your new platforms and coming together, that's more exciting than the fight to me.
Yeah.
Because so many elements have to be addressed when two companies are coming together to do a simple broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are simple things that one company may want and the other company may not want, and they have to come together on that. Not to mention the financials, not to mention the logistics, not to mention the splits, all those things. And those things are really, really exciting to see how they put it together. I mean, just go back in the day, Tyson and Lennox Lewis. No other commissions didn't want to fight, but Memphis, Tennessee took the fight because the commission there took the fight because they wanted a neutral ground for, what was it, HBO and Showtime at the time. And that was the first time anybody came together because they were really adversary, but the money was so great, they was able to come together. Now, subsequently, you've had Floyd and Pacquiao and all that, but that was the first one. What I'm saying here is the fight doesn't really matter to me. We know Munguia is little brother. He's not, he'll try to fight or whatever, but he's already kind of, knows, if I go in here and I lose, I'll have the same kind of forgiveness that Canelo had when he lost to Floyd. It didn't affect him at all, but he took the fight because he doesn't really have a chance to fight against Canelo because he has no offense, no defense. And we know Canelo is a beautiful, extremely accurate counterpuncher. And I believe he'll just pot shot him for 5-6 rounds, and we'll see some spectacular counter punches and combinations. Then he'll go ahead and turn them off. But Munguia is not going in there with any kind of mindset to actually win because he just doesn't have it. He knows he doesn't have it, but this is an opportunity for him. But he will be absolved of this loss.
Yeah, I mean,
forward and fight for another 10 years.
Right, Munguia's. I mean, I hate to say that Canelo's looking past Munguia, but the real fight on the table is this fight with Benavidez. Benavidez is talking all kinds of stuff, trying to get that fight with Canelo and trying to set that up. And even Samson Lupkowitz, he's got a lot to say about the fight too.
Yeah, that $200 million request that Canelo made, and we don't know if he made that just. Canelo said, "You give me $200 million, I'll fight Benavidez." Now,
right.
We don't know if he said that in jest. We don't know that if he said it to see how much he could actually get. We don't know if he said that because he wanted to duck the fight. We don't know exactly what's going on with that. But one thing, as Lefkowitz just said, he is a smart man. He's going to see what the market will bear.
Right.
If he says, I need 150 to fight Benavidez, everybody better go find the 150. Now, I know his usual guarantee is, what, $40 or $50 million per fight? We know this.
Right now, he's looking...
for 150 to 200.
Yeah. Canelo's looking for 150 to $200 million for the fight, which I think is just fantastic. Good for him, man. That's
That's my point. Is he trolling? Is he serious? Is he ducking?
No, he thinks the Saudis are going to come up with that money. They want that fight over there.
Okay.
That's a big fight.
If that's the point, I mean, it's well taken. Some people have taken it so many different ways. As I said, ducking, trolling, fishing, that type of thing. But we have to see now. As you know, Benavidez is moving up, and he's going to fight at 175. Mm-hmm. That's a coming fight. And if the opportunity comes, he'll come back down. I don't know how it's going to work out, but the world wants to see that.
Right.
I'm not holding my breath on it because there's a bunch of other good fights out there that are going to come to fruition.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know that Samson Lupkowitz did Lupkowitz, sorry. Says the fight. Yeah, he says that the fight between David Benavidez and Saul Canelo Alvarez has been properly marinated, and he believes the Saudis will meet the bout's steep price tag. And if he's able to pull that off, can you imagine? It's amazing. Just amazing.
It's amazing, but the fight won't be competitive.
We're supposed to be talking about Munguia here, and we aren't even talking about that fight because we know how that fight's going to go.
Yes.
And we're talking about David Benavidez. We're talking about this fight. That tells you, right? We have on our schedule, folks. You can see it here on the agenda: Canelo Alvarez versus Jamie Munguia, and we are not having that conversation because there's really not that much to talk about as far as Jamie Munguia is concerned. And with Canelo Alvarez, it's going to be just another chance to see Canelo manage another young bull and how he gets to another young bull. And that's all that really is. But even Benavidez is, he's salivating. He's saying things like, I don't really, the weight thing is not really an issue. Let's, he'll entertain, the weight. He'll cut the weight. It's not a big deal.
Canelo lost the first fight with Gennady. Gennady had no fear of him, absolutely.
No.
I watched that fight several times, and I give it to Gennady every time. He didn't slam, but that was the first time that I remember, besides Floyd, but he just wasn't seasoned enough to be in there with Floyd, but he was seasoned at the height of his powers, and he was in a situation where a man had no regard for him and wanted to beat him. So those subsequent fights bared out Canelo that we hadn't seen before. I think when he gets in there with David Benitez, he's going to be a situation where this man is not, has no regard for him at all and believes he can walk right through him and just take him out. And that is daunting. He's younger, he's stronger, he's naturally bigger, and it's going to be a fight where Canelo's foot speed is waning, as you point out to me very, very clearly, that he's had a lot of fight. He's got a lot of tread. His age may be young, but his boxing age is steep.
Yeah, no. And David, like I was saying before, it was not only the weight, it's also the rehydration clause, because there's been a lot of talk about, Canelo Alvarez, and the rehydration and the weight that Benavidez is able to go up. And so they're even, they're open to putting in a rehydration clause so that Benavidez can't grow, by leaps and bounds, I suppose,
Right.
So I think that's good.
I listen to several different boxing podcasts, and one of them I can't mention. I would love to, but they're very prominent. But one of the gentlemen on there said any kind of catch weight, any kind of hydration clause, any of that just shows that you feel like you need an advantage over that man. And anytime there's anything like that involved, I myself, and I echo what this gentleman said, that it's not really a fair fight. It's not a heads-up fight. It's not a fight that's contested evenly. So any kind of clause, anything like that, for me, I no longer, I'll watch it, but I no longer feel like I'm watching a fair, fight.
Right. Well, speaking of that, Canelo Alvarez, between Jamie Munguia and Canelo Alvarez, I don't know, did you hear that there is a rematch clause? That's rare for a Canelo fight, but there is a rematch clause for that fight. Yeah. That's what I said.
The only way I can say is, you have to look at the situation he is. Seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
You can lose your situation, your fitness or whatever, and you can lose a fight.
Yeah.
That can happen. And at this stage of his career, he needs to keep it tight. And if he does lose a fight, he can come back. But he's already lost. He's already lost twice, and he gets a pass every time. So if he loses this fight, he can come right back and beat the boy and look at his legacy, and it won't even be tarnished as such because he's already dropped his O long time ago.
Right.
So,
hey, Harold, listen, I don't really know why we just don't get the Benavidez fight, because I really want to see that one. I really need to see that fight. That's another.
We all do. It's just a situation where I don't see why not. Benavidez has had some pay-per-views. He's done well on his pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's showing exciting fights each time, what have you. It's just some other situation. Now, Canelo has taken shots at him. Like, I didn't lose my belt because of whatever. So he's talking about, this situation with where, he was involved in some kind of drug situation, and he had to leave his belts because of that. And then one of them he lost on the scales.
Right.
So Canelo's been using that, kind of offhandedly, saying that, he's not disciplined enough and this and the other.
Yeah.
Then he says Munguia is disciplined, as in he always makes weight.
Yep.
Never comes out of shape.
Well, that's true.
He's not involved in any kind of, activity that's not law, that's not in accordance with the law, that kind of thing. So, and it's easy work, man.
Yeah. Well,
it's easy work, easy money, easy work. And like I said, Munguia gets a pass.
Yeah, I get it. And speaking of easy work, it is not easy work, Harold, to get on this list of all these boxing events that are coming up. And so let's do this thing for our listeners. We're going to give you the boxing schedule here coming up. We're going to throw out a couple of fights that I think are really, really noteworthy, fights that you definitely do not want to miss. And the first one is March 27th. Joseph Adorno versus Nicholas Waters. Two fighters who have a lot to prove. Both have losses on their records. This fight will determine who goes forward, is all I can say. But that's a big fight coming up. Oscar Valdez versus Liam Wilson on March 29th. Tim Zeus versus Sebastian Fundura on March 30th. We've got Richard Richardson versus Gustavo Lemons. That's going to be an interesting fight. Jared Anderson versus Riyad Mehri. That's on April 13th. On April 20th, we've got Jessica McCaskill. She's back in the ring versus Ivana Habazani. And then on April 20th, we got Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. That's April 20th. Canelo Alvarez versus Jamie Munguia, May 4th. Naomi Inoue is fighting Louis Neary on May 6th.
And that has a good storyline with it.
That's going to be a great fight. On May 11th, we've got Vasily Lomachenko versus George Kambosos. Again, two fighters that both have losses that really, this is going to be a big fight for both of these gentlemen, in moving forward. Emmanuel Navarrete is fighting Denis Berinchyk. And then, of course, Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk on May 18th. And then Josh Taylor's back in the ring versus Jack Cottrell on May 25th. So we got a lot of boxing coming up, folks, and we are excited about it. And Harold, I want to thank you for being with us on the program, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to the Boxing Breakdown. And don't forget to find us on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe and the notifications there. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Boxing Breakdown. And on behalf of...
We'll be here every Sunday at 6.
Yeah, we'll be here every Sunday at 6. Even though the intro tells us that the podcast is released on Thursday, we have rescheduled our Sundays so that we can bring you new episodes. So until next time, on behalf of Harold Hunt, I'm Mark Roxey. Peace and love. See you next time.
All right.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.